Shruti, we're having some breaking news coming in now that from a Kremlin spokesperson that Putin will not attend these peace talks in Turkey, at least not today. Can I get your immediate reaction to that? Is that exactly what you expected was going to happen?
To happen, Putin will not sit face to face on a table across from Zelensky. No matter what Zelensky wants to tell the world that Putin is a warmonger and a monster, probably in Zelensky's eyes, it is not. It just simply means that Zelensky is not qualified for the kind of peace talks that that the world wants to see happen. And Trump knows this. The world should understand this. This is not. Ukraine war is not actually Ukraine versus Russia. It's actually NATO versus Russia, and the leader of NATO is de facto US. So unless Trump sits down on the table, Russia is not going to come there.
Shruti, I do dignify it. We're currently showing live visuals of Zelenskyy's plane arriving in Ankara, Turkey. He obviously arrives for these talks after we have just got the information that Putin will not be attending the talks in Istanbul today. The meeting between Russia, Ukrainian and US delegations is set to begin this afternoon with a slight delay. That's from the Russia's foreign ministry. Ukraine's President Zelenskiy had previously challenged Vladimir Putin to show up to these talks. A Kremlin spokesperson has now said that is not going to happen, at least for today. Donald Trump has also had a statement. He is currently on his tour of the Gulf in the Middle East, and he says that he will join on Friday, which is tomorrow, if talks progress. As you can see, live visuals of Ankara in Turkey, where Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president's plane, is landing at the airport in order to attend these peace talks. The Ukrainian President Zelensky is set to speak to Turkish Premier Tayyip Erdogan prior to attending these peace talks. We're unsure, but that might be why the Ukrainian president is delayed. Russian delegation has arrived, although some international critics are criticizing Putin for sending these diplomats and not a higher body of Russian delegates. As we've said previously, these are the first direct talks between Russia and between Ukraine, the first talks since a month after the war broke out 3 years ago now. In the same city, the previous talks took place, and we will bring you the latest updates coming out of Ankara and Istanbul in Turkey in the first direct meeting between Russia and Ukraine. I once again want to talk about how this meeting came about, this much anticipated meeting. It comes following calls from Ukraine's allies for a 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. This was rejected by Russian President Vladimir Putin, who did not commit. And we can see there's the visuals of a carpet being rolled out for the Ukrainian president. Anyway, carrying on. On the 14th of May, US President Donald Trump floated the possibility of joining the peace talks if Istanbul does, if Putin does, apologies. The US President, who is currently in Qatar, we're seeing the Ukrainian flag there coming out of the plane. The US President, who is currently in Qatar, The US president, who is in Qatar, tells the reporters that he doesn't know if Putin would attend without him there. Zelensky wrote on social media saying that he is waiting to see who will come from Russia, and then he will decide which steps that Ukraine will take in these talks. As we can see, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has now landed in Ankara with the hopes of going to Istanbul for these talks. Today, this morning, the Russian delegation landed in Istanbul, arrived in Istanbul, and Putin briefed them ahead of talks. Currently, what's coinciding with this meeting is a NATO meeting of foreign ministers in Antalya, in the same country, where there are many, where all NATO foreign ministers are present, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was also meant to be at these peace talks, but we'll see how that unfolds. Shruti, I want to come back to you in this discussion. We've now seen that Volodymyr Zelensky has arrived in Turkey. It's unclear whether he will attend the peace talks with the Russian delegation. But what are your thoughts on the possible movements of the Ukrainian president? He has shown up. Donald Trump hasn't. Vladimir Putin hasn't. What are your thoughts?
To be again a point of optics. He's going to present to the world that, look, I'm ready for peace and Putin is not, and that's why he's not here and I'm here. But he's not really actually going to sit down at the table, because this is a point of ego for him as well. He wants to be recognized as the leader of Ukraine, even though he's, as of now, unelected, and the entire Ukrainian people are under his regime, whether they want to or not, to be under that particular force that is Zelensky. But he's going to project that I come from a point of strength, I come from a point of peace, and that's why I am sitting at this table, and Putin is not, and hence Putin is the warmonger, Putin is the monster, and that's why he's not here. Not acknowledging the fact that Putin has said that he will only talk to, by calling the leader-level talks himself, Zelensky has put Putin in a place where Putin has to say that, no, this is, if it's the leader-level talk, then you are not qualified to sit on the table with me. So it's very simple. Zelensky is going to go for broke and try to pretend that he is the peace-loving person. And Putin is just going to shrug and let it go at that, and continue and wait for the point where the peace talks will not cross his red lines. Once those red lines are formed in place, he's going to then agree to peace. But it's going to be a conditional peace for him. That's why he doesn't agree to any of the ceasefires. Ceasefire only happens when he sees that the West, along with Ukraine, are ready to understand what his stance on the entire NATO membership or peacekeeping